Hello folks, Rever here, back with another episode of Grazyland. And I am standing on field 9, just a few minutes after the end of the last episode. So this will be day 4, part 2. And I am going to spray some stuff. So, not that it really matters. I got in a habit of starting out spraying the herbicide just because it was clear liquid. And on many maps you'll find that the nitrogen or the NPK or whatever it is you're spraying has little colored pellets in it, so you can kind of tell what was sprayed. This map, I haven't noticed that that's true. You can tell lime, obviously. But so just going over to the soil spreadsheet, we're going to spread herbicide of some sort on each of the 3 fields we planted earlier. And we're going to spread lime and we're going to spread water. So I am pretty much right in the starting position, I would say. So I'm going to start recording a course. I've never sprayed field 9. Yes, probably not the end of the world. Oh, I should get the hang of that. Keep this nice and straight. Oops, there we go. So I'm not real sure what I'm going to show 100% in this video, but I did just have a thought that I wonder, I've changed before on maps that don't have little pellets that I was just describing. I've changed the graphic, and maybe we can cut away to my file system at some point here, and we can see about showing you. It's pretty simple. It's just a little picture, and a lot of times you can get away with just changing the picture from a map that has it to the map that you have currently. We can take a look at it in a minute if I focus and not miss too much of this field. We're awful close to missing there. How does this field look? 4 and 2, which if I'm remembering right, is pretty standard. I think I want to follow the GPS up that line. It might work though. I'm not sure that it makes any difference. Some fields with an angle you want to try to do that. We got plenty of room on the side there. We'll have some super fertilized grass. Actually we'll have a big mess there because we'll run up and down that at times, working the field. Things will be all different. You'll find the edges of the fields, I like to say, become pretty ripe with nutrients because you're spraying the heck out of the fields, and yet the grass doesn't grow that much. And so it's hard to get a good reading after a few days on the edges of the field. And then you got to be a little bit careful in the middle of the field because the middle of the field has, let's turn there. Back out to a good position as fast as we can. That helps make our turns later on. You'll find the middle of the field will have these tram lines, if you're playing with the crop destruction anyway. And that will cause you problems as well. So I don't think I have a spraying course for any of these fields today, do I? Worth all that extra, but there's something in my nature likes me to have every bit of the field covered. If I had swung that turn just right into it, I'd have missed a little triangular piece down the corner, towards the corner. There we go. The rest is just up and down. This field really shouldn't take overly long. For now, I think I want to, stick to the regime I have. I got a field pretty much for each of the things besides the clover and the alfalfa. and I've never really seen a big purpose to them. It's sort of like grass that you have to plant all the time, so I guess if there was a certain mod that took advantage of it, that might be a neat thing. But I know in real life you certainly feed animals different nutrients at different times, or different types of hay at different times based on time of year and how much nutrition they're getting off of your grass fields or not, or how hard they're working. You know, different things like clover and alfalfa have, you know, better energy levels, I guess, than regular field grass. But then I know those things can get too rich for the horses, and next thing you know, they have colic, or I don't know what other problems. I'm not a horse master. We had horses, but I never liked them. I liked dirt bikes. Alright, well, let me finish up. You know, I'll just probably keep going with the spray, and it's going to be doing basically the same thing 3 times in a row, and then setting them to spray the water and the lime. Probably use the spreader for the lime, and might come back if I get a whole bunch of stuff happening at once. You know, that could get about as exciting as spraying fields ever does. So I will see you guys back in a second. I'm sitting out here on field 9, and if you notice, I have some nitrogen in my spraying tank, and the reason for that is that the other fields that we had plowed started out with like 5 and 4 and went down from there for whichever reasons, and I kind of forget right now, and it really doesn't matter. This field is not at that level. If I hop out of the tractor, we'll get him go do his own thing now. Let's go far enough away to doesn't hit me in the head with the boom. But if we come out into the field enough, notice that we're at 4 and 2 on the nutrients, and you know that's not going to be good enough. We'll see it in the spreadsheet later on, but my nitrogen would end up at 3, and you know, according to the statistics, if your nitrogen's down at 3, that's should be at 5. You're actually better off spraying around a nitrogen to get it up, and it'll end up at 8. I'll show you what I mean a little bit later on the spreadsheet. Hopefully I'll remember to say something, but I'll kind of go through a day beginning review like we did earlier in the last episode, and then when I'm done this episode, I'll kind of review things again at the end of the day, at least the farming spraying day. So yeah, so let's take a run since it's right here and look at field 1, because field 1 and 7 are also, I don't know if they're going to have the same nutrients. Oh, another thing to mention, let's go, yeah, see this? Okay, now that we're here, let's do one thing at a time. Notice my soil moisture is at 43 on this field, and it's at 5 and 4. And the pH is neutral. Try to say nutrigen again. I don't even know exactly what that is. At least I'm not thinking of it. So in any event, so we're coming over here, and this is canola, and C for me stands for corn and canola, herbicide C. But oh, you know, another thing, I'm just going to cut myself off. All right, notice we have 57% soil moisture. That 57% is because we sprayed that herbicide the other day. So you do have to watch with spraying the herbicides on these empty fields that you don't bring your soil moisture up. Again, it's not too hard to get it back down or anything, but something to keep an eye on. So there you go. So we don't have to spray the extra round of water that we did on those other fields. And in addition, you know, but we do have to spray some more nitrogen to get that nitrogen up, and we're going to have to spray a dose of PK and then a dose of NPK to try to get our PK right at 4. So coming into this field, yeah, this field with the 5 and 4 and 43 is, I just remember, is like fields 5 and field whatever the heck it was. So it's almost like the fields that he left us, he sprayed with, he set up with the perfect nutrients You know, so it's like they were fully fertilized perfectly. Where that other field, which had never had any crops in it, I didn't harvest it. And that's a lot of farms, you know, that's where you end up getting the fields, is starting out at 4 and 2. Which is kind of good. It breaks up the monotony of NPK. I mean, I sprayed NPK on 4 fields this morning. We'll spray some more NPK. So let me jump to this guy, this is field 7. And he is getting ready to spray that. And yeah, see, we're at 5 and 4. We need the moisture. So fields 1 and 7 will do a similar routine to what we did to the other fields. And field 13, which we haven't looked at, and that's for a little more for worry about tomorrow. Field 13 will be a little different because we left that corn in there. I didn't even realize I owned the field. And so that was kind of a dirt move there, and then we got field 12 that we're kind of looking at. And that should probably be along the lines of field 9. So this is where the spreadsheet, for me at least, really comes into its own, because to try to keep straight exactly what you want to spray on each of these fields, and I don't know, if you can just guess it every day and have it come out, you're a pretty smart dude if you don't have to write and figure this stuff out. But hey, I mean, just because I can't remember how to tie my shoes some days doesn't mean you guys can't. Alright, so I'm going to, he's up there spraying the fertilizer N, and I'll set this guy up and record a course on field 7. So the first stage of that is getting my GPS going. Yeah, I guess it's best to, work this field this way. It doesn't really matter too much with the way I spray these. I stay in the lines for the most part, so it's not like the trees really come into too much play unless they're right on the corner. Let's see if we can get fairly well lined up and get that guy out. It sort of like seems like he starts a few feet further forward, but not too bad. I don't want to drive whatever course that is. But I do want to start a course recording. Did I miss? I could probably just manually spray it as I go by. One of the most graceful start I ever made. Yeah, see, this is going to be a bit of a pain to get that corner. Too far over. Running down the crops. I hit the, I don't even know why I hit it. I didn't even want to hit a button, but I hit the follow the course button. So now this, I'm going to try to use that red line. That's about a pain right there. Little strip. Yeah, this is ugly. There, good. I'm glad you guys saw me do a not so perfect one. I really haven't been hiding doing that. I think some of them, that's sort of the way it worked out. I did well. Maybe it was the added focus of your recording, paying attention more, even though the talking seems to hurt me more often than so what I'll do, I'm going to stick with this one until, now I want to go there. Let's zoom out a little more so I can see what's going on exactly. Yeah, look at that ugliness. So we ran out a couple extra potatoes. I mean, that course, it would work. It's sort of, but I'll redo it. I don't know. I'll show you what we did. It's only going to take another minute to finish this field off. And I will set them on course play for the next go around. So we're spreading Herb AA, which does potatoes and sugar beets. So besides writing this down, because I'm trying to get an idea what these fields cost, I don't know if I'll do it throughout the entire, series, but especially in the beginning for a round, see how much these seeds cost versus how much money we make when we sell them. And I know it's all a little bit subjective. I did notice that a couple of these herbicides seem to cost a different price. And I think that I'm assuming that could be part of the economy, just like, the price doesn't have to stay fixed. I wouldn't think, anyway. Certainly within the bounds of human programming capability to make that variable. Alright, so we'll start right there, or stop right there. Move my pad so I don't bang on the desk like that. I just have a kitchen towel that stops me from banging. Every time I put the controller down, it bangs on the desk and you can hear it in the recording. Alright, so let's hit save, and what I'll do is F7, 24 meter, and usually all I'll just do is put redo and save. Well, I'll leave that in, because I'll probably just, oh no, I want to write this number down that we have 550 left, and this is F7 Herb AA, and we have started with 5600, and we have 5050, which means we used, that's a lot of fives, 550. We really have to do the math too much on that one. Alright, so that way we got it written down, because if I jump right over to field 1, yeah, see, look, just probably not worth the effort or the money. Oh, I'll have to write the new number down. You know what, the heck with it. Oh no, we'll do it, because otherwise that spot will always be off a little bit. So that's the worst, not the worst thing, but if you've watched some of the other videos and I talk about zeroing out the field, there's two reasons that I try to run the numbers down to 0 and the nitrogen and the NPK, and I've never run the pH low enough to actually have it go to stop, like getting lower where like the whole field evens out. I think you could just keep spraying like something really high. Where do we want to do this from? I think I want to start down that other corner. Yeah, these signs aren't collidable, which makes them not as much fun to try to knock over. I do kind of like a good flying sign once in a while. Even though this damage mod, I probably should try to keep that under control, that urge. So we'll turn this guy 90 degrees and then close. And then I'll turn them 90 degrees again. And that'll just give me a little bit of a gauge as to where I should be. So I'm going to be about here. It's not that. Alright, so let's jump over to, well, let's let this guy spread his wings since he's in the middle of it. So see, I'm just sort of guesstimating. I know I'm a little bit closer to the edge than, that should be the same distance from the red line that the green line is from the thing. That puts me pretty close, so I don't have to mess it up. So let's change this back to 90 so that we're ready to go. I won't bother starting course because we're going to jump. Here we go. So now he's spread, and one of the things I wanted to get out and look at was, do we see the little pellets? I was kind of actually happy when that happened. No. If you get out here and look, there should be little pellets in here for showing, I'm sure you've seen them, or I would hope you've seen them on other maps, where there's like blue or blue and pink pellets. Let's stop the driver since I think we pay for him when he just sits there. Yeah, now the worst thing, by the way, about planting these fields is I used to cut through these fields all the time. So now I do want to see what happened. So that field has got its nitrogen and it's got its herbicide. I don't like to get too much going on at once, because at least not until I get it all straight. You know, like just the fact I set that guy up right there, I know that's what I need to go back and do. You know, try to keep track of what you've done and what you haven't. I haven't changed my spreadsheet to highlight those things blue yet, which I should do. Just for a good habit. And I noted the price of 10 cents. I don't really remember if it's cheaper to spray or spread. I do want to take a minute to see what did I do with my... I built that other tractor to spray at one point. Oh, the JCB. That's right. JCP really didn't do the greatest job on that field work. So I thought, you know what? He doesn't have the greatest turning radius compared to the other tractors. So I think that this will be a good job, and I brought down the T6 or whatever, T8 that I was using. He should do okay with this trailer. You know, it's not a real tight turning situation following that big M around. So, that's where he did. Alright, so I guess I could spray with this guy, but you know what? This guy's right here, or spread, I should say. And did we write the number down? Probably not. Let's see how much it costs us. Oh, this is even more. You know what? Let's finish this up. So I don't know that I don't think I know the price for. Sorry, this makes me dizzy. I really don't like this positioning of these things in this little alcove. Alright, so when it comes to field 9 nitrogen, he started off with 5,600 and now he's got 4139, which leaves him with we used 1,461, and let's see, so now what we're going to do is refill him, and once he gets done I'll drive away and write the number down. We'll see how much this costs per whatever. 722. And if we put that in our calculator, which I could probably do off camera, 722 divided by 1461, 0.494. I'm going to call that 50 cents because again, I'm finding these numbers. So I will real quick put 50 cents into this spreadsheet. And what do I get a number there for? Oh, sorry. I copied and the number went down. I just want to make sure I wasn't writing in the wrong spot. I would have expected it to be a 0 liters used. Sorry, you'd have to see what I was looking at. Alright, so it costs us $730 to spray that field, which is, you know, certainly not as bad as spraying the herbicides and such. So now that this guy's filled up, I don't think I'm going to need nitrogen in him anymore. Get him on the spreader so we can spread some lime, which I think cost us 10 cents. Is this full? No, it's full. As a matter of fact, it's almost empty. And in case anybody was wondering, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the modification I made to this damage mod has certainly reduced the amount of damage. So I forget which episode or whatever I did with that, but you know, it's, if you want to reduce it, it really wasn't that hard to modify it. And I think before I spread this line, before I record that course, once I spread the line, it's going to be hard to see if I got the pellets right. So I am going to cut this right here, and I'm going to go, you know, to my desktop, and I'll go find that place to put in the soil management. You know, it's got to be on the map folder somewhere. I'm remembering. Pretty sure it is. You know, so it shows us blue or red pellets so that we kind of know what we sprayed. So I'll be back I'll be back on my desktop in a second. Hello guys, I'm back out at my desktop, if you didn't guess that. And what I did was I went into my farming simulator and I went into mods, and FS Grazyland is the name of the map. I copied it just back out. You can do it anywhere. It's kind of getting to be a mess in here with the my games thing. I probably shouldn't do it here, but in any event, I went and renamed it with the orig, which just means original, and then I went and unzipped it so that I could come in here and look. And I was looking and I couldn't find anything that said soil mod, and I thought, well, let me go back to a place that I'm pretty sure I remember doing this kind of thing. So I went to my FS15 stuff, and it's called, you know, Best New Manchester. I'm not sure why I came up with that, but from when I did the Manchester map, never recorded it when I played on it. And inside of that had a, you know, inside the map folder itself had FMC soil management, had its own special little section, and they had two files in there, one named weeds and one named foliage, soilmod.dds. So then I came back and I searched Grazyland map for that, excuse me, and figured out that under the map was foliage here. And you can see, you know, it does have that soilmod DDS. Now, it's probably hard to pick up on YouTube, but it does look a lot more faded than this one. But what I'm going to do, just for the sake of it, is copy this one and paste it into this one, replace the destination file. Yeah, see, it definitely looks different. I mean, I could see a change, you know, when I did that. I think the weeds look fine in this. You know, I don't see any reason. But I guess this is where they, you know, and again, I'm not a map maker. I just know how to, more of a map hacker or mod hacker, I guess you could almost call me. So, you know, again, I don't see one that says weeds in here necessarily, do I? Yeah, weed diffuse. So, but I like the way the weeds look on this map. I don't really care that much, but it's fine. All right, so we save that. I come back out to here, and then, you know, this is where the original map is, and you don't come back out to here and try to zip this. That won't work. You have to come into it and send to, I mean, if you have Mac or something, you would just have to have your different compression. I know some guys like using 7-zip, and I have that. It's fine, but in the old days, Windows didn't really have a good zip thing. So now I know I made a backup copy of my map. So as we go to log back in, and I don't know why it picks, you know, this name here, map preview. So it's going to take about 3 minutes. So let me finish zipping this, and then all I'm going to do is rename it so it's spelled the FS15 Grazyland, you know, with the capitals and everything, and I'll stick it back in my mods folder, and I will load the map, and I'll join you, and we'll see if that made any difference. You know, it's all a on-camera experiment. So I'll see you guys in a second. Guys, here we are again. Let's head out to field number 7, since we know we sprayed the nitrogen on there, and see if it made any difference. If it didn't, oh well. 15 minutes lost out of my life to learn something that I'll probably never need to know again, but did want to mention something that, I'm not sure how familiar with programming anybody is. Oh yeah, let's take care of this real quick. Probably should just go buy a cheap tractor. There we go. See, that's where you go and turn off your lights if you haven't seen me do that. There we go. Nice and flashing yellow. Now the herbicides usually don't have any color, so that's one of the reasons I would spray them first, is because I can see right where I sprayed, but I'm not seeing anything here, so it must be another... Oh no, there it is. So do you guys see that? I hope you do. See, so we have little green particles, but mostly pink. So that little pink shows us where we sprayed nitrogen. So if you get to know that kind of thing, like remember that pink is the nitrogen, and if I'm remembering correctly, well, it's blue is the PK. So when we spray PK on this field later on to get the PK up, you'll see. And then let's see, where did we spray? Yeah, this guy might be a little hard to see, but didn't we spray NPK over here in field 5? We should have a tram line. Yep, see, there we go. So there's NPK is like a purplish color, purplish blue. So we could see that we sprayed it. So that's, I don't know, it's certainly not realistic, but when you have a memory like a sieve, you're probably better off doing things like that. So let's go back to this guy and come back to the course for F9. Oh, look, we had an F9. Oh, that's right, we sprayed. Yeah, well, this one's fine. I'm not sure which one's better. Maybe I'll try them both over time and get rid of one of the two. This one went very well, I thought, so no reason to redo it or anything. And, yeah, well, without further ado, yeah, I guess we can get away with nearest waypoint on this one. And we are spreading lime, which if we hop out, you can see why, you can see the pink in there maybe. Again, it might be a little hard to see on YouTube, but, we now have lime spread and NPK. So if I go to my soil mod spreadsheet, I should be able to mark these things as light blue before I forget. Even though I'm a little ahead of myself on the lime, I assume I will finish that. And there we go. Just have to find out the total amount of lime that we use, and we'll be in good shape on this field. So let me pop over to this guy, and he's all ready to go with field 9. And again, if we hop out, nothing on there. And we should be doing AA. Always good to double check. And again, now if I were to spray the wrong thing, like we have, let's just say I forgot, I had one of those moments, and it started spraying CC in there because, just if you knew me, you knew that was totally a possibility at times. So it's always good to double check before you get started that you got the right one, AA. But if you did, you can always come back and just spray the AA over it. You can only ever spray one, and it's the last one that counts. So like if I decided, oh no, I shouldn't have spread N in that field, we could just go back with the NPK or PK and overspray it. So now you are going to have to spray something at that point, but I guess at that point you would just pick your lesser evil. And another thing we need to check here is our weather. 18 degrees Celsius. So because it's under 21, 22, I forget the exact line at this second for some reason. But because it's under that, we're not going to lose any moisture when we cross the 12 o'clock hour, unless I log back in and log out again. So, but I'm not too worried about doing that anymore. I'll get these fields sprayed. Let's raise this up, why not? And put some AA on this field and field 7, and again, if I decide to change something, I'll come back. But I think we're going to do the similar routine with spraying water and lime today on 7 and 1. And I'm sitting here looking at field 1. So Alright, let me get to work. Stop talking. There we go. Alright, well, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Guys, I thought I'd pop back for a quick minute and show you. It's kind of nice when you spread and spray. So this isn't the first time I've done something similar. Kind of nice also when you have the last tractor's tracks to line up with. But I am going to come back here to, F1, so at the top, spray 24, and tell this guy to drive course. And there's really a pretty limited chance these two guys will run into each other. So this field's definitely good with the herbicide line. By the way, I didn't really mention it about Field 9, but I've seen where people think that they can only spray one thing a day, and it's only true in the subcategory, so to speak. You can certainly do a herbicide, lime, or nitrogen. You just can't duplicate the two nutrients or whatever. So see, this is where it's kind of nice. That guy misses. They don't, because this guy doesn't have a boom on him. It's sort of a nice little combination here. Point. I think this other guy's he's about to be done, so he's spraying water on this field, and I will run and go over to field 7 and spray some water. Too many buttons at once. The tractors, the trailers, such as this sprayer, don't seem to cause an issue with the tram line, so you can cut the corner as long as your tractor doesn't hit the crops. You can back the trailer back into the field. I've never noticed any problem. That's nice. We've got a lined road. So I'm going over the field set. Oops, stop. And I forget where this one starts, so let's load it up first. It's going to start on that other end, isn't it? F7 redo. Yeah, so the fact that it says redo it will remind me to just redo it, and I won't redo it until after these crops are done. I'll just do even more destruction. Hit that. And I'm not quite as worried about hitting things as I used to be. It's taking about 27 seconds to do this field, so it's kind of nice. Let's hop out and we see. Now see, so this is where you can see it's colored in the sense that it's darker than it was, so that means you got your herbicide down. If you had any question. Now, I did think at one point that there was some texture to the herbicides, but, again, you could see where I brought in that picture. Anybody could modify that picture and put it in there, and it would look different one way or the other. So, yep, there he goes. And he's just spraying water, so you really won't see where he sprayed water and where he didn't. But that's because we already, the moisture's already in there. And the original... I forget who made the video. Sorry, I should give them credit. They talked about different layers. And see, I think that the first layer of moisture is 14. And that's when you put on the herbicide or the nutrient. But when you put on this water, I kind of picture it as going deeper into the earth. You're shooting it with 28. And just because you spray, another nutrient, let's say we came by and sprayed NPK, you're not adding more water. It's like you're filling up the depth of the water kind of thing, in a sense, is almost maybe a better way to look at it. So 28, is that you get from spraying this water. It goes deeper into the soil or something like that. I don't know. That might have just been completely confusing. So let me go back to work, finish spraying up these fields, and I think I will be ready to pop out to the spreadsheet when I next talk to you guys. We'll finish up the episode there. So I'll see you in a few minutes. as I get hit by the boom. Yeah. Well, guys, back here at the spreadsheet, and we're on field 12. Just run down them each time. Again, nothing's really happened on field 12 or 13, but I did clean up the spreadsheet, made this column narrower, made sure all these had actual numbers in them. Put this NPK, pH, and whatnot in the top here for where we lose stuff, make it a little more clear. And generally just sort of straightened out the columns, move this up. Let's close that thing. You know, so where we can see this maybe a little bit better while we're looking. Things kind of fit better. So we'll go to field 2, which will become a, day, I'll call it a day 2 crop, but I don't want to confuse things with the day in the game. But so field 2 and 5 will get harvested together. Well, I'll harvest field 2, but then well, actually, you know what? I may not. I may wait now that I'm thinking about it. Because see, if I wait an extra day, I don't lose an NP or PK, but I lose another nitrogen. And because I lose that nitrogen, my overall score is a little bit better. Now, you could bring those numbers down. See, I have a number 2 here, so this would be like my second crop. So if I came over here, we're going to be 6, 4, 7, and 57. You could actually like anticipate ahead if you wanted. I don't know. I don't really see, like, in other words, we could say, well, is it beneficial to do that? And then come into here and look at, this harvest stage here and say, well, if we spray an NPK, we're up to 5 there, but we're only at 4, so that means we would need another NPK at some point here, to get us up to 4 on the PK, which is, it's real important to have that PK close. Obviously, it doesn't look like we'll need, well, you got to keep in mind that the herbicide reduces, so if we will spray a herbicide, which means we'll lose 0.2. We'll add moisture for the herbicide. We'll add moisture for this. You lose, keep in mind of this too, you lose, 3 sets of 14 here. So just doing this, we'd have that there. Is that far enough to spray lime? Probably not. So, but there we go. So we're actually a crop ahead now. That will, again, more NPK spraying. Typically I would, type that in. I'm not going to do this too much, but I thought I'd show you why. I don't know, just talking. So there you go. That wouldn't, just without having done anything, just, you could forecast ahead what's the difference. So it is actually beneficial because, it will affect this crop will be slightly better. Because instead of being at 9, it'll be at 8, because we would have brought a 7 over here instead of bringing the 6. But again, that's too much for me. This is enough. It's probably too much. Even what I'm doing is probably way over the top for a lot of you. But hey, whatever. I'm having fun. So there we go. So we spread our NPK in these 2 fields. If you remember from the beginning of the first part of this day's video, last episode, whatever you want to call it, for this map. And we're going to spray some NPK in the fields tomorrow, on fields 3 and 4. Fields 1 and 7 are going to follow a similar path with the NPK. We'll harvest them at, the first stage there. So we'll get out there and do some of that. And then field 9 is a little bit, I guess you could call it our goofball, in the respect that, a little bit different here when we start off with the 4 and the 2. 6.6. So we have to do a few little different things. So tomorrow we'll probably spend NPK or some PK, but we'll have, I try to do all my spraying the first time. Now notice spraying all 3 of these. Herbicide, nutrient, lime. I could go and put water on there. Water would raise this up to 28. And there we go. So take a look at our grass field real quick in summary. So we went all the way down to 115,000 harvest. I have to go get that grass off the field. That'll be something I do off camera. Cart it down, and then, come tomorrow, we'll see what happens when, I think we'll go at least 2 more days and see what happens. I'm not sure, basically our water's at 0. I have a 1 in there just because it's the lookup value I was describing in the last episode. So we'll just get all these down to 0 except for this 5.8. And because of this being at 5.8, I think I'm going to try to raise the pH first. So I will probably, spread some pH on it, some lime on it, and that will raise this up, 0.6. So we'll get up to like 0.4. I might do that 2 days in a row so that we get up to like 7. But again, keep in mind, we'll lose some. So we're not going to get to 6.4. We're going to get to 6.2. We'll spray again, which will take us up to 6.6. And we'll just see what effect that has on this harvest. And then I'll probably try to maintain that pH, somewhere in the right ballpark, we'll call it. It's going to be a little hard, to get it exact, but I'll keep it up to about where it should be, in that 6.8 range. And then we'll start messing with our whichever one, nitrogen, maybe we'll just, spray the nitrogen and get it up, up to like 5 or 4 or whatever, and then spray then spray a PK and just see how each one of those adds to this as these numbers over here come up. And hopefully that'll give us some idea. The biggest thing I'd like to know is, do each one of these evenly affect, like if this number is accurate to say 0.5, is that 1/4 of the overall effect, or does pH seem to have less of an overall effect than nitrogen? So in other words, we may have like what you could almost call a coefficient. Oops. Is that coefficient evenly distributed? Meaning, they all add to the weight of the bonus evenly to be at the right number if they were all at 111 here. Or maybe this one, is worth 33%. I picked a bad number. This one's worth half. This one's worth, 0.25, but then these are both worth 0.125. Did I get that right? Here, we could tell in a second. 1, yeah. So, like they would have to add up to 1, which would mean they, gave us 100%. It depends on how I work that out, but we'll see. We'll see if, if these numbers all contribute evenly to the pile, or if there's some other kind of distribution that we can make out. Kind of hoping they all do it evenly, because that will just make life a little easier to figure it out if it seems to be that way. And then hopefully we can go back and look at these numbers, and just sort of say, well, I would expect this result, if I have these conditions, if these are all weighted evenly, I would expect this percentage or that percentage, and we'll see. Okay, guys. Well, that's probably enough spreadsheet. The only other thing to mention real quick that I think I just forgot is the cost. $17,000 to plant field 2 in canola, $12,000. It's only $6,000 to plant the oats in field 3, which is a fair size field, not as big as 2 or 5, but only $7,000 to do the field 4. So the crops that, by the way, these, the crops that have BB or CC here are going to be a little more expensive because their fertilizers or herbicides more expensive. $6,000 to do field 7, and we'll get a lot more off of the bigger fields too. So $10,000 to do field 9. Now canola is typically seed heavy. You put a lot of seeds down for canola, and you don't get so many back, but you do get a better price for it when you sell it. So I'm not sure how to calculate in the sale price. It's obviously more of a range, depends on what you sell it at. But hey, at least we'll have an idea what it costs us to plant a field. It's not something I paid that much attention to. Well, once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.